from our amended language. So this does look a little bit different than the amendment that we testified to.
Excuse me, Representative Knapp.
Thank you. On page 3, the pre-operational capacity testing,
Thank you.
what quantity do they use for that? I mean, I just have no realm of knowledge.
Yep. Thank you. This is Susan had noted that this was testified to, and this in the section there adds this exemption for pre-operational capacity testing. These will be wells that will be established that are in the shorthand pumped hard, and they are pumped hard for a period of time so that you can understand the characteristics of the aquifer. It will vary, but they'll generally run the pump at a level that they think they will be applying for, and they will run it for a period of time, for example, 5 days. That allows them to determine yield and also what happens to the essentially the morphology of the aquifer. Where does the water get drawn from? What happens to wetlands or streams or adjacent wells? And it gives them the data by which they then submit their application for the permit.
Pursue.
Yes.
That they're drawing from this one well for 5 days, and there are 5 peripheral wells that they're judging the level of, or?
Yep.
Okay.
And currently, we do not permit those. They're not regulated under NRPA now. This clarifies that.
So this is where Ross Perot's giant sucking sound comes in.
Am I compelled to answer the question?
Yes. Other questions?
Okay, so again, that was the there in section 2 that introduces a new item that was not in the testified bill. Section 3 begins the language about delegation. I'll skip down to section 6. Section 6 of the bill, again, is still in the NRPA. This is the language that allows for an interim municipal regulation to be adopted by municipal officers in lieu of permanent ordinances. So again, this is the turn on a dime provision that we have put forward.
Representative Knapp.
Maybe we need legal things, but the municipal legislative body, at one time you were mentioning the town select people. Would that also be like a town council, is what that definition covers? Or?
Yes, if you were in a circumstance where you had a town council, it's my understanding, but the council could do the interim ordinances and the final. This is really addressed to town meeting style of government, where the selectmen could adopt the ordinance and then it's in place for 12 months until they have town meeting. Or they have up to 12 months to call a town meeting where the governing body, not the officers, formally adopts.
I would have to go back and look at the definition of municipal officers, but I think that is included, what Andy just said.
If you move to section 8 of the bill, this is where you get into the substance of how we're defining the relationship and what the municipal actions do and what their permits look like. A indicates that the relationship continues to be two-way. The department envisions that we would likely comment on these applications, so our hydrogeologists could provide comments. It defines what we are commenting on. And again, this is important. The municipality, we're saying here, we submit comments, the municipality shall consider our comments. And when you turn to the top of page 5, in that first underlined paragraph, what we've done is put in writing here, these are the things that are being deliberated on in this conversation, so it sets bounds on what is being deliberated on by the municipal body and what will show up in the permit. So those first two sentences restate the approval criteria in the NRPA. So we're talking about hydrology, groundwater quality, surface water quality. We're not talking about all kinds of other things in crafting this permit. When you move to paragraph B, we talk about here how a municipal permit should function. And that's the language. It's got to have monitoring limits. It's got to have action and alert limits. and that the permit should function with triggers so that it turns itself off, or it acts to turn off a well if impacts are going to be happening on the ground. The paragraph below sub D in section 8 describes how a municipality's denial of an application would work. And again, the denial of an application needs to be based on the standards in law. So what we're doing is we're focusing the conversation on the standards in the NRPA, which is the groundwater and surface water quality. Section 9 describes the process around delegation. We need to keep the town apprised of changes to any groundwater rules we do. Process for suspension. If we don't grant delegation, how that could be appealed. And then, let's see, I think then there is a transition section in section 14 that talks about existing ordinances and permits and how that would work. And that brings us through the broad outlines of the delegation, with a few details thrown in.
Right. Are there questions? Yeah, Representative Ayotte and then Welsh.
Quickly, I'm trying to figure out the major difference between LD 1267, and I know they involve two different towns, because LD 1267 was initiated by Representative Campbell.
Mm-hmm.
This one is initiated by Representative Hill. What town is that?
Neither is town-specific. They have examples from different communities that inform them. 1267 was essentially saying, we want an entire regulatory framework
Right.
that came from Vermont in
Right.
place in
Right.
Maine. 1269 looks at the existing regulatory framework and makes some changes. It tweaks it and refines the existing framework.
Okay, but, there's 8 pages of changes.
Yes, there are.
That's what worries me. I'm just wondering if I've understood everything here, the changes would be overruling the town councilman, or working with them, or?
What it's doing is, again, there is a lot here, and as I had noted, not everyone in the audience has had an opportunity to digest it either. So I don't think that you're ready to take action on it. You might be, but I'd be surprised.
No, well, I don't quite understand it.
So what it does
It's not easy,
is it defines how a town regulates groundwater in a way that does not exist currently in state law. And we do it without, I hope, violence to home rule, as well as providing clear guidance on how the town and the state interact together on this regulation.
I'm always worried in the back of my mind about unintended things that we might do.
I think probably this has gone out to a number of interested parties who have just now seen it or haven't even seen it yet in some cases. And I think it would be wise if they have a chance to react to it and coach us on it. So I'm pretty sure we're not going to take a vote on it now. And as soon as we're done asking questions to Mr. Fisk, if anyone has reviewed the bills from the interested parties who wants to give us some thoughts before we revisit this, I'm certainly going to open that up to anybody who needs to do so. And Representative Welsh.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Mr. Fisk, does this give authority then to the towns and the municipalities that has not existed before?
No, I think it's arguable that they have that authority.
Okay.
It's just not real clear.
So it's just defining it better?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions for Mr. Fisk? Okay, my inclination probably is, we'll discuss calendar later, but I think we'll get to work it maybe on Friday. Does that fit into our calendar?
Sure.
Okay. Senator?
Move to table?
Those in favor? Great, thank you very much. And I was going to offer everybody a chance to give us some commentary guidance beforehand, but you can just give it to us offline and by email or just sidebar conversation. And we can move to the next bill. which I believe is, why don't we do Representative Adams' Bill 837? An act to protect Maine's groundwater. That's our two-sentence bill.
Yeah,